Today, the President of the United States logged on to his Truth Social before sunrise and posted something that tells us far more than he actually intended us to know or wanted us to know. This isn't a candidate. This isn't an advisor. This is a sitting President of the United States himself posting this at 4:33 in the morning. A message designed to redirect attention, to deflect, to instruct the nation not to look where they should look. From a quote from his posting in Truth Social, he says, Epstein was a Democrat. Ask Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, and Larry Summers. Don't waste your time with Trump. I have a country to run. When a president tells you not to look at him, that is a clear cue and sign to look closer and deeper into him. You're listening to Polytech. I'm Dale Gebler. Tonight we're going to be unpacking a Truth Social post posted at about 4:33 a.m. by President Donald J. Trump that has reverberated across the political timeline. Not because it's clever, not because it was strategic, but because it was a panic post. And it was very notable that it was. A sitting president, the most powerful individual in the country, reacting like a man cornered. The post claimed Epstein's story is a dramatic Democratic hoax. That the Democrats are using a release of documents from the Epstein estate and a combination of DOJ documents to deflect from their own failings in their party. So let that sink in, and let me expand your mind a little bit. Just think about this. The Department of Justice released those documents. A bipartisan lawyer released the Epstein files to be viewed. His own Department of Justice, and yet the president frames it as a partisan attack against him. He calls Republicans weak for not protecting him. He reassigns Epstein's political identity, and he tells Americans not to waste their time with Trump. Look other places. This is not governance at all, and it's not leadership at all as well. This is deflection, and this is panic. Because when the truth threatens you and the truth comes out, you know the first instinct isn't to strategize, it's to survive, and that's what he's doing. So Trump's political instincts were honed by a gentleman called Roy Cohn. So you probably heard of him before. You've probably watched a few movies about the history of Trump, but he's a character that was both displayed as brilliant but evil and with no soul. So what did Roy teach him? What were the steps that he taught him whenever there was a conflict, an issue, or a problem? When threatened, deny. And we see this with Trump all the time. When threatened, reverse the blame. When threatened, attack the accuser relentlessly. When attacked, new villains and new situations. The other thing is to never apologize and never admit defeat. So the post check every box this morning with what Cohn had taught him. It's textbook panic masquerading as messaging, not a presidential leadership, not an executive decision making, a man flailing under the pressure and knowing that the end is near when the truth comes out. So Trump and Epstein, they socialize frequently. I mean, you see it. There's photos of them together. Trump joked about Epstein's preferences. Maxwell was part of the social circle and even went to Trump's wedding. Even after Epstein was barred from Mar-a-Lago, Trump once publicly wished Maxwell well. And so now, as the current president, he wants the public to believe the guilty party is someone else, Democrats. The history doesn't lie, but the panic rewrites the narrative very clearly for everybody, and you can see the panic in all of his posts. So let's pause, because this is the heart of the story, and you need to understand it very clearly. It's not Donald Trump. It's not a party politics. It's really not. It's not even Epstein. What is the most important thing about this? It's actually the victims. Not a word for the survivors whose courage is in exposing the truth. Not a word for the girls whose safety was violated. Not a word for the humanity and the morality of everything, or the scandal itself. Not a word of that. It's just deflection. This is the heart of the matter. The victims are what truly matter. Not the partisan scorekeeping, not the political deflection, not the self-preservation of power, When we lose sight of them, we actually lose sight of justice and morality. And that is why the moment is telling. It really is. Epstein wasn't aligned with any political party, as stated. He wasn't aligned with the Republicans. He wasn't aligned with the Democrats, because Epstein was an opportunistic parasite that took advantage of everybody that he met. He exploited access to wealth wherever it served him to the best. The claim that he is a Democrat is just another thing that Trump is throwing in there to sort of sidetrack everybody on what's going on. So, which brings us to a crucial question. If the truth were harmless, would he act like this? If the truth was harmless, would he be acting like this? Why wouldn't he just come out and say, hey, let's release everything, let's review it, let's get it out, let's start bringing people in? Because it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. If you were involved with this, no matter who you are, what party, you need to pay the piper for what you did. That's as clear as day. This retaliation, however, reflects a man terrified that exposure is actually coming. And it's so telling. I don't know if everybody can feel it, but to me, it's so telling. Trump isn't reacting to Democrats. He is reacting to an unsealed document, the names, the timelines. The survivors are empowered. And now is the time for everybody to step forward who needs to and release all the files and let this come to a conclusion. Trump is attempting to redirect the avalanche before it lands in his own feet. And it's obvious that he's doing that. So let's just kind of zoom out a little bit. Okay? This post reveals a president who fears exposure, is weaponizing blame, lies about documented crimes, wants the public confused along the way. It wants the story to be lost in the news cycle. So I'm not surprised if something big will be coming up pretty soon, like maybe bombing in another country, something very strategic that will take everybody's mind off of this. So that's sort of the political strategy that seems to be going on. So what's the takeaway with this whole thing? As documents continue to emerge, and I've read through several hundred so far, as survivors speak, as the public pays attention, the lesson is clear. Leadership does not panic. Clear, defined leadership, good moral men, good moral women do not panic. Transparency does not attack. Strength does not deflect. This furious call to investigation for Democrats is not strength. It's fear. Fear from the highest office in the nation, and an office that should be setting a precedent for morality, leadership, and democracy, and it's not. So let's think about I'm going to close out at this point, and I want you to kind of soak in everything that I've talked about and everything that I've mentioned and come up to your own conclusion and do your own research. And I'm going to stress this piece of it. Do not post misinformation or disinformation online. Always do your research, because you only hurt those who are working for the right thing when you post this disinformation. So remember, when a president asks you to look somewhere else, that's exactly where your attention should go, directly on him. This has been Polytech. I'm Dale. Stay vigilant, stay sharp, and always follow the truth, especially when power tells you not to. Thank you.